Today I'm going to show you how I make my healthier, gluten-free sweet potato casserole that my entire family loves. So we're going to start off by baking our sweet potatoes. I'm using 2 really large sweet potatoes. Normally I use 3 or 4 medium-sized potatoes, but since the grocery store only had these huge ones, I'm just using these 2. And I just rinse these off in the sink so they're nice and clean. So I just have my tray with my parchment paper here, and I'm going to take a fork and just poke a few holes into the sweet potato. So I just go down the length of the sweet potato and do about 3 pokes with the fork. So I'll go all the way around the sweet potato. Just making these holes, it will just help it bake more evenly and just steam through the whole sweet potato. We're gonna do the same thing on the other sweet potato. You could also use a knife to do this, just be very careful while doing it. So we're just going all the way around the sweet potato. Okay, all done. So I just have these on my baking sheet. I'm gonna put them in the oven at 400 and bake until they are fork tender. This normally takes about 45 minutes to an hour, but since these potatoes are so big, it's probably gonna take a little bit longer. So these are going into the oven and I'm gonna set a timer for 1 hour. They might need an extra 15 minutes or so, but I'll set my timer for 1 hour. Okay, these sweet potatoes ended up baking about an hour and a half, and I let them cool for a while. And now I'm just going to remove the skin. It should just super easily come off. So we're gonna remove all of the skin, and then we're gonna place the sweet potato into our bowl. Now we're gonna add in 1/2 cup of milk. I'm using almond milk. I actually usually use chicken broth because I love that it adds a little bit of sweet and savory, but I had some almond milk that had to be used up, so that's what I'm using today. Now I'm adding in 1/2 cup of organic brown sugar, 1/4 cup of melted butter. That was my oven preheating, sorry about that. Now I'm just using my hand mixer just to make things go a little bit quicker, and I'm gonna mix this all together. Now I'm adding in 1 teaspoon of cinnamon. You could also use pumpkin pie spice, a nice good shake of sea salt, and now we're gonna add in 2 eggs. I added these after the fact just because my sweet potatoes were still a little bit warm, and I don't want the eggs to scramble. That would not be very good. So we're adding our 2 eggs, and now we're gonna mix again. Now we're gonna take a baking dish and just lightly spray it with some oil. I'm using avocado oil spray. You could also use some butter or just whatever kind of oil spray you have. And now I'm just taking a little piece of paper towel to evenly spread the oil so that the dish is completely covered. Now we're gonna take our sweet potato mixture and just transfer it into our baking dish. So a little story time for you. My grandma has always made our sweet potato casserole for every Thanksgiving for as long as I can remember, since I was a little kid. And I decided to make my own just because I wanted to have it at another time besides Thanksgiving. I just wanted it at some point in the fall. And so I had my grandma taste test it because I obviously needed her stamp of approval. And she officially made it my duty to bring the sweet potato casserole to every Thanksgiving now. So that's how much she liked this recipe, and it's even a little bit lower sugar than the classic recipe that I grew up on. And it's made with real simple ingredients, and like I said, I am now on sweet potato casserole duty for Thanksgiving. Now I'm just gonna evenly spread the top. All right, that looks good. I already taste tested the sweet potato mixture and it is already delicious. Okay, now I'm gonna set this aside while I make the crumble topping. Now for the crumble topping, we're gonna add some melted butter to a bowl, 1/2 cup of brown sugar, 1/2 cup of gluten-free flour, 1 cup of chopped nuts. I'm using pecans today. I also really like walnuts in this recipe, a pinch of salt, and a teaspoon of cinnamon. Okay, now I'm gonna mix this all together. The crumble topping, in my opinion, makes this recipe. It is so good. It almost gives it like a pumpkin pie, pecan pie type feeling. So this is what you want the consistency to look like. It's almost like a cookie dough full of pecans. This is so good on its own. I could eat it by itself. Now back to our sweet potato mixture. We're just gonna take our crumble topping and scoop it all over the top of these sweet potatoes. You could be ladylike and use the spoon, but I actually think it's a lot easier to just use your hands to crumble it on top. Just make sure you wash them beforehand. So you want to crumble it all over the top of the sweet potatoes. This is gonna be so good. I always want to have it more than just on Thanksgiving. So I've been making it, this is my second time making it so far this year, just to have as a side with meals. It's really good with some roast chicken and vegetables. Now this is gonna go back into the oven for about 30 to 45 minutes or until the edges start to set. Just be careful that you're not burning whatever nuts you're using, in my case, the pecans. So just be careful you're not burning those. All right, the sweet potato casserole just came out of the oven and cooled for a little bit. It smells so good. I can't wait to dig into this. All right, it's time to dig in